We're going to be using we're going to be doing some of the balance work using a towel or something on our head today. And we're going to start on the chair. So we're going to be doing some of the balance work that we've been exploring this summer. And we're going to come onto a chair. Later on, we're going to be using a block when we go to the floor. So here we go. We're just coming to seated. So we continue our exploration into balance. We settle in with our breath. We let our shoulders relax or soften or drop just a little bit. The jaw softens. And we just settle in with our breath. And now as we breathe, we're really going to focus on extending our exhale. So we're going to find our natural breath in and then allow ourselves to breathe as long as we can on the exhale. And perhaps noticing the engagement that takes place in our belly when we allow our exhale to be deep and fully felt. So here we go, just tuning in. And when you complete your next exhale, we're just going to come back to our personal breath, our own signature breath. So we're sitting a little bit forward on the chair, on the front half of the chair at least, not on the front edge of the chair. We're going to just take a little bit of a sway right and left. And we're noticing how our feet engage with this, the knees, the pelvis, the torso. We're just letting the head float and follow the spine. We bring it to center. Now we're going to take it forward and back. Notice the breath. Now we just do gentle circles in one direction. Let the head just be relaxed, following the spine. And then we switch directions. And then we pause. And now we're going to wake our feet up a little bit. So we've done the foot awakener before. You just slide the foot out. Pick whichever foot you want, slide it out. Feel the foot as it connects to the floor, maybe watching the foot as it works. Slowly feeling the toe tips. Giving ourselves a little bit of time and attention to really connect with one foot. Maybe making circles. And then we're going to pause. So this activates the proprioceptive capacity of the body to be able to feel our way into where we are in space. So with gentle closed eyes, we're simply going to notice how the side of the body of the foot that we worked feels. And now we switch sides. So we're giving attention to this foot now. We're noticing it, playing with the toes, maybe spreading the toes, sliding the foot, circling the foot. However you feel like moving this foot to wake up the foot, which helps wake up the whole body. And for some reason, I could use that. The rain comes and I start feeling just a little bit like going into the cave. And then we're going to pause. We're going to scrunch the toes up now. So we're going to notice the feet. And we're going to feel the toes of each foot. And we're going to scrunch the toes toward the sole of the foot, toward the heel. And then we slide those toes out and pull them back. So we're contracting the toes and then we're flexing the toes, just going back and forth. A couple more times. This is like Pada Bandha. And then we pause. Gently closing the eyes and noticing how the feet, the knees, the pelvis, the spine, shoulders and arms, hands, neck and head feel. We're going to activate the eyes now because our balance includes eyes. So we're going to start with the Prana Mudra. So we've got 2 fingers and the other ones are held by the thumb. So this mudra is said to help create energy in the body. So we're going to take our focus to the fingers. And we're just going to move the arm, one arm at a time. And we're just going to take it anywhere it wants to go. And we're following the fingers with our eyes. So the head is not really turning here. We're actually working the eyes. So we've talked before, and you could pick up the pace or go slow. We've talked before, but it's a good reminder that constrained eyes can cause constrained movement. So if we wear glasses all the time, our eyes get very constrained behind the lens. And so we want to give our eyes an opportunity to really explore. And then we pause and switch sides. So we come to the Prana Mudra. We're going to follow the fingers with the eyes. Make it interesting. See if we can get a full range of motion with the eyes. But it's interesting, the point at which maybe you notice, I want to turn my head and look at that. See if we can keep the head neutral. And those eyes activated. And then we pause. Gently closing the eyes. Notice the sensation or sensations running in the body. Won't you join me standing? So to come to standing, we're going to allow one foot to come in front and the other foot is behind. And we're just going to hinge forward to bring ourselves up. And here we are, we're standing. We're going to do a little sit stand because this helps our balance. So hands can be opposite shoulders or at heart center. Notice the chair behind. We're not actually going to sit all the way down. We're going to pretend like we're sitting down. We're going to do several of these. And as we're going into this is like a squat. When we're going into the squat, see if we could keep the knees stable so that we're really using those upper thigh muscles and the glute muscles and not wavering in the knees at all. Some people think doing about 25 squats a day is the best thing you can do for strength and stability in the body. And now we pause. We're going to take our chair now next to us, the back next to us, and we're going to grab our towel to put on our head. So the towel activates, or whatever we're putting on our head, activates the attention at the crown of the head. And then we'll be doing things with our feet. So we're going to start here. And we're going to put that squarely on the head. So balance occurs in the center of the body, all the way down, and then into two legs. So this is activating that natural channel that is available to all of us to create balance. We're going to pause here, and we're in mountain pose. We breathe. And now closing the eyes, we stand in mountain. Maybe noticing the breath and where it travels when we have our eyes closed. Checking into our internal stimulus. And then we return to eyes open. We're going to start moving our arms around. They random movements, palms up, palms down, above the head, to the right, to the left, whatever feels good. We're just randomizing movement and maybe noticing how, when we do this with our arms, our feet start getting interested in what we're doing. And now we have a chair here, so we pay attention to the chair, bring the hand down, so it's about arm's distance from standing. So we know that this is there. Now we're going to close our eyes, come back to mountain, and then move our arms without the external stimulus that the eyes bring in. Now we're feeling our way into our movement without using external cues or clues. And then we're going to bring that to a pause. Eyes come open. So when we were sitting in a chair, we were doing a sway right and left. Let's do that now. So just allowing the body to move right and left. And then maybe going front and back, forward and back. Just getting the sensation of the sway. Now, what if we closed our eyes and did this? Front and back, or right and left, or both. Just practicing with the eyes closed. Knowing that the chair is there as needed. And now what if we add multiplication tables to this? So now we're swaying and we're multiplying. Let's do it by 7. 1 times 7. Going through the multiplication tables as we're moving. So now the body is in motion and the brain is helping us multitask. 7 times 8 and 9. And then we're slowly going to bring it to a pause. And then we are back in mountain. So for people that are dancers or are familiar with dancing, a lot of these feel very natural. For some people, it just expands beyond the familiar. So if you feel like you've got some balance here because you dance, good on it, because dancing is very helpful. And one of the things that's recommended to keep the brain young, one of the many things, is to take up dancing. It helps the balance, but it also helps the brain stay young. So we're going to add a releve now. So we're going to come up onto the ball mounds of the feet. And then we release back to the mat. We're going to do that a few times. And now what if we closed our eyes and did this? Remember, there's a chair nearby if needed. One more time. And now we're going to add a knee bend. So we come up on our toes. We'll start with eyes open. And then when we come back to the floor, we're going to bend our knees. So we're doing a little bit of a squat here. And then we come back up onto the toes with straight legs. Bend the knees when we return to the floor. Random arms as we go through this. Feeling core stability. So what begins to happen when we add the arms is we can really feel how much the core is working here. And now, what if we close our eyes and we go up and down and move our arms? Is the balance still present? Remember that chair is there to assist. And now we're going to come back to center and we're going to add one more adventure here to this. But first, we're just going to settle in to mountain. Feel the feet on the floor. And now we're going to go through that sequence again where we do the releve, the bending of the knees, the arms, and we're going to change focus regularly. So we'll look right, we'll look up, we'll look down, we'll look left. And that too can be done as randomly as possible. So we're coming up and down and up. And we're looking around as we do this. This challenges all kinds of things in the body. We'll do a few more of these. And one of the most important things that I'll remind everybody about is not to take this too seriously. We'll come back to mountain. What happens when we begin to take a balance practice seriously is it can make us feel rigid, and rigidity is one of the factors that can affect balance. So taking ourselves lightly truly does help. We did a 6 or 7 movement practice the other day. You may or may not have been in that Wednesday time, but we did a couple of things that we're going to actually add on to today. One of them is the pyramid. So in the pyramid, one foot is forward and one foot is back, and we shift weight forward and back. So this is a definite balance practice, but we're shifting forward and back. And then we're going to take it to the tightrope, where we put one foot directly in front of the other, finding balance. So we're going to put those two things together. So we're going to start by rocking forward and back a few more times. And now we're going to turn the head to look in one direction and then back to center. Turn the head in one direction and back to center. We're going back and forth, looking to one side and back to center. Pausing, and now we're going to look in the opposite direction, rocking back and forth, turning the head to look, rocking back and forth. One more time, looking. And then we're back to neutral, more or less. We're going to take this to the tightrope now. So coming closer to the chair, perhaps, we're going to bring our feet onto the tightrope. Allow the wobble so that the body can start being stabilized around, ooh, this is a new way to be in balance. And then we're going to go forward and back here. So we rock forward, come onto the ball mound to the back foot, and then we rock back. Front ball mound probably will come up. So now we're just going back and forth. The arms can help with balance either on the chair or to T. And once we get a sense of that, we're going to turn the head to the left. Woo! And I fell out of it. Coming back, we're going to turn our head to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left. And one more time in each direction. We're going to come back to neutral, come back to mountain, and shake your legs out. Whew. How fun was that? Hey, guess what? We're going to do it on the other side now. So we're going to come into the pyramid first. One foot's in front, one foot's in back. They're not lined up like the tightrope, so there's a little space between them, kind of like skis. We're going to rock forward and back. Breathing. And then taking the head and turning it in one direction and back to center. Maybe to the right and back to center. Same direction, back to center. Again and again. And then we come back to the other side, turning the head in the opposite direction. So think about walking down the street and having the head on pivot because here comes a car. I live in a neighborhood without sidewalks. So there's always a alert about if there's a car coming. We're going to pause here. And then we're going to walk these feet to the tightrope so that back foot comes over behind the front foot, and the back toes are touching the heel of the front foot, if that's possible. Sometimes that feels so unstable that we need to have a little more space. You decide what works for you. And now we're going to rock back and forth. Breathing here. And now we're going to turn the head in one direction and back to center. One direction and back to center. And be curious, is this easier with this foot in front than the other one? And now we turn the head the other way. And there we go. We're going to pause here. And we come back to our mountain. We can remove the towel now. So that was a lot of work, probably in the calves, maybe in the hamstrings. So the hands can come to the back of the chair. Step back, a little bit of a down dog here. Sits bones to the sky. Head comes gently between the upper arms. Bend the knees to step forward. We're going to slide that chair out of the way and we're going to make our way onto the floor. Have a block nearby and maybe a strap. I think we'll do a little strap work. That might feel really good on the legs that we just worked. So here we go. We're getting on the floor and we're going to roll onto our backs, coming into constructive rest posture. Oh, so good. We settle here and just let the pelvis relax into the floor. Soften. And maybe rolling a little bit through a pelvic tilt cycle, flattening the waist. Lifting the waist and rolling toward the tailbone, just a few of these. And now walking the feet together, knees together, calves together, gently rock right and left. We're not aiming for the floor by any means. We're just softening through the pelvis. And then walking the feet a little wide as a mat, walking the feet out as wide as a mat. We'll continue with some windshield wipers. So those three patterns together are really helpful for the back. And then when we get back to center, we pause and we breathe. And now let's grab a strap. We're going to take that strap and we're going to loop it around the arch of the foot. There's two ways to do this posture. One is with the opposite leg extended. And do that, check it out. How does the low back feel? If the low back wants a little less compression, come on up with the foot. You decide what feels best. Both feet, if it's on the floor, it's flexed. It's already there. If it's extended, the toes are coming back toward the knee. So this leg is the leg that's extended to the sky. We're going to bring it, maybe imagine what it would feel like if this was vertical to the hip joint, not too far, not going past the hip joint, staying right above the hip joint, which may mean that the knee bends so that the knee and the hip joint are in alignment. And it's a sensory experience. So you could just kind of, this might be what it feels like. I'm not exactly sure. Don't worry about it. Just do something that feels soft and welcoming. And breathe here. And now the foot that's in the strap, we're going to turn it inward. And we're just going to allow, maybe you need to bend the knee a little bit for this. We're turning it inward. You might feel that run up the outside of the thigh muscle, that ropey band of tissue that can get so tight. So the toes are turned in. You might feel it in the hamstrings too. And then we bring it back to center. We bend the knee, slide the other foot up and into the strap, releasing the first foot to the mat. And now we're going to repeat on this side. So both sides may not feel exactly the same. So slowly extend the leg and see if that feels okay. If it doesn't, always bring that foot back up. We got flexion in this foot, and we got flexion in that foot. So we're bringing that leg so it's above the hip joint. Bend the knee as needed to soften into this posture. Breathe here. Nice breath. And then we're going to turn those toes inward. So the foot that's in the strap, the toes are turned toward the center of the body. And we breathe here. Notice whether or not it's possible to soften the grip in the hands. So maybe sliding the elbows to the floor if your strap is long enough. And relax the jaw. And then turn that foot back to center. Slide the other foot up. And we bring both feet back to the mat. We're back in constructive rest. So pause here. And just feel how the low back has enjoyed that practice. Returning to some pelvic tilts. And then bringing those arms out to T. We're going to walk the feet toward each other. The knees are touching. The insteps are touching. We're going to take the knees glued together. We're going to take them to the right side. Stack the feet on top of each other. Arms can be extended or in cactus posture, also known as stick 'em up pose. That's definitely a Western description. Breathe. And in this posture, maybe noticing how this twist is activating the obliques, those side muscles in the abdominals. On the next in-breath, we're going to roll back to center. So here we go. And when we come back to center, we're going to pause. Knees are glued together. Insteps are glued together. We take that gentle twist now to the other side. We breathe here. And then on the next in-breath, we're coming back to center. When we're back at center, we're going to press the low back into the floor, press the waist into the floor, draw both knees up, toward the heart. Find a rock, a circle, a spiral, a rock and roll, something to really allow the low back to feel some love. And then the feet come back to the mat. We're back in constructive rest. And the feet slide out long if that feels good. And we come into Shavasana, our final resting posture. Today's thought is from Marianne Williamson. As we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence actually liberates others. Gently begin to deepen the breath, drawing that breath into fingers and toes. Feet come to standing on the mat and gently rolling to one side. We make our way to seated. And won't you join me as we open our arms wide? We gather all the blessings that already exist and we draw them in appreciation and gratitude into our hearts. And together we all say, Namaste.